Hello everybody, I'm back with my next video, and there are so many roller coasters out there. Some people love, some people hate, and I'm going to share my unpopular opinions on this matter. These are the top 10 overrated and underrated coasters. Quick note, I have not been on every roller coaster, only 175 as of last week, and my opinions on this should not be the same as yours, because these are things I think deserve more or less respect. And I'm going to do the overrated roller coasters first, so we can end on a high note. Kicking off the list for overrated coasters is Superman Escape from Krypton at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This roller coaster, back when I rode it in 2014, I really enjoyed it. The launch was smooth, you go high up. It was pretty short, but nonetheless a good top 5 ride at the park. I re-rode it, and I did not like it that much. It was pretty rough. The view's not great. You only actually go up 328 feet instead of the 415 they brag about. And the ride really just is kind of unenjoyable at times. Number 9 is Hangtime at Knott's Berry Farm. Most people would consider this the second best roller coaster in the park. I do not. Don't get me wrong, it's a good ride. The inversions are fun, there's a good airtime moment, a few good intensity moments, but when I first rode the roller coaster, it was unbearably rough. I re-rode it and it was good. Maybe I came on a bad day, but Accelerator is by far the better ride. Number 8 is Cheetah Hunt at my home park, Busch Gardens, Tampa. I hate putting roller coasters from my home park on here, but this one is widely considered one of the best launch coasters out there, best coaster in the park. I wouldn't put it at top 3 in the park, and I haven't even been on Tigris yet. The ride is fun, cool layout, a few good airtime moments, a few good intensity moments, not a whole lot going on, and it's really more family based than the other rides, so while it's a very good ride, it does get a little too much respect. Number 7 overrated is Magnum XL-200 at Cedar Point. I went back to Cedar Point last week, and this is a very controversial opinion because some call it underrated because so few people like it. However, a lot of people are starting to call it underrated now, so I just say it's overrated. Now, I've been on all the Cedar Point roller coasters, and this would be my 8th favorite in the park. There is some good airtime, a little bit of intensity. However, at the top and bottom of every single airtime hill, I felt a terrible pain in my legs. It's a really weird jolting pain, and the lift hill takes so long. There are major problems with the ride. Only half of it is really great, the other half's really bad. Number 6 is Kumba. Don't get me wrong, Kumba's a great ride and used to be in my top 25. However, many people are starting to call it like the best B&M out there, and I have no idea why. It's a looping coaster, and if you go on a good day, it's smooth, it's fun, the layout's good, it's intense. It's an intense looper, that's good. However, I've had many bad days on this ride. It's rough almost every time I go to Busch Gardens. That's the problem with having this as my hometown park. Roller coasters like this, I get to experience their bad days, which is why I like some others better than them. Number 5 is Nitro at Six Flags Great Adventure. Quick note, King Dakar was closed when I went here, so you will not be seeing King Dakar on my list. Nitro, some people call it one of the best B&M hypers out there, and I'd say it's by far the worst. It is in my top 25, which does keep it from being very high up on this list, because it's a good ride, and I like B&M hypers. However, this one's layout is just not special at all. I didn't remember any major airtime moments, any intensity moments. It's a very forgettable ride. Every other B&M hyper has something interesting about it. Intimidator has really good airtime, Behemoth has a great first drop, Goliath and Mako have fantastic second halves, and Diamondback is just all around fantastic. This one, I thought, is a little overrated. Best ride in the park, but El Toro and King Dakar were closed when I went. Number 4 is Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion. This had to be on the list. It is pretty overrated. Now, it is in my top 20, top 15 even. However, It's by far the worst of the 4 Gigas I've been on. I've not been on Steel Dragon yet. The ride, it's perfectly smooth, great versus drop, interesting concept, most intense roller coaster in the world by far. And that's great. Intense, smooth, that's all well and good, but there's no airtime, and it makes it a bit of a one-trick pony, and I think you have to have airtime and intensity to be one of the best roller coasters out there. And that's where this one kind of falls flat. Number 3, we have a tie. Scream at Magic Mountain and Green Lantern at Great Adventure. These are very different in my opinion sense and in the GP's opinion sense, because Scream, I like Scream. I'd ride it again. It's mostly pretty smooth. The layout's fine. However, it's the only B&M roller coaster ever to bore me. I don't remember anything from the ride besides the Cobra Roll. It's a boring ride, and it's very forgettable. And some people call it one of the best coasters in the park. And Green Lantern, while it doesn't get a whole lot of respect, it gets some. And it's a terrible roller coaster. Really, really rough. The fact that it's a stand-up is like the least of my concern. The only good thing about it is the colors. It's a really bad roller coaster, and it gets some respect. Scream's a good roller coaster that gets a lot of respect. Both of these are pretty overrated, but Scream is worth a ride, I guess. Number 2 is Batman the Dark Knight at Six Flags New England. Oh my god, I could have put any roller coaster from New England on this list. Goliath is one of the worst out there, and a lot of people like it. Mind Eraser, I'm yet to ride the Riddler's Revenge, redo, but people liked Mind Eraser. Pandemonium's actually pretty rough. Superman the Ride is called overrated, but I really liked it. Wicked Cyclone's easily the worst of the 4 hybrids I've been on. And Thunderbolt is actually really painful. Why do I give it to this one, though? Well, this one's in my top 10 worst, without a doubt. It's rough, the layout's really bad, the ride is short, but it feels so long. It has the dumbest layout of any B&M anything I've been on, except for some of the small stand-ups. And people like it. Logan at Coaster Kids likes it. People call this better than Dominator. And I simply cannot go that far. It's a really bad ride that gets so much respect. Six Flags New England is barely worth a trip, even without this. So, be careful. Volcano the Blast Coaster is by far the most overrated roller coaster I've ever been on. People love this ride. They called it the second best coaster at King's Dominion before Twisted Timbers opened. It's closed now, but nonetheless people liked it. They thought it was intense, they thought the launches were fun, they thought the theming was good, and they were sad to see it go. I threw a party when I found out it was closed. I hate this ride. It is so rough. The launches are rough. The inversions are rough. I would never ride this again. The launches are really underwhelming. The theming is the only saving grace of this ride. The layout is just kind of going around the volcano with a little bit of inversions that are really lame. The drop gets stopped by a brake run, like a full throttle. It's so bad. It's definitely one of the 20 worst coasters I've been on. Probably not top 10, but it's a really bad ride. It's one of the only rides on this entire list that people love and I hate. Okay, I'm sorry I got so close to the mic on that one. And before going to the underrated coasters, I'd like to quickly mention a shocking roller coaster that could have been on this list. That is Roadrunner Railway at Great Adventure. It's a kiddie coaster, and I'm pretty sure it's gone now. And no one's gonna say a kiddie coaster's overrated or anything. Except me, because it's one of the 5 worst roller coasters I've been on. The layout's short, and it's a rough ride that throws you around. I didn't like it. And it's not going to be on this list because it's a kiddie coaster. I'm sorry I've gotten so mean to these roller coasters. But now we're going to talk about underrated, where I can talk about happy things. Alright, the 10th roller coaster in my underrated list is Runaway Mine Train at Six Flags Over Texas. I have not been on the one at Great Adventure, and I've heard bad things about that one. This one, people like the ending with the good drop and the saloon and all that, but they think it's a jerky ride. I personally had no jerkiness. I thought the layout was really strong for a mine train. I thought the final drop was legitimately one of the best drops on any roller coaster I've been on. And even though it's a small roller coaster with a few pacing issues, it's a really good ride in this park. It might be in the top half for me, actually. I really enjoy it. It's my favorite mine train, and you should actually take time to ride this if you go to the park. Number 9 is all the roller coasters at Tivoli Gardens. I've talked about this park before in a different video, talking about how great the park is in most aspects besides the roller coasters, but no one talks about the roller coasters. No one thinks very highly of them. People blip over this park if they go to Europe, like Coaster Studios, Coaster Bot, and I think they were pretty dumb. These rides are really, really fun. Demon is a really underrated roller coaster. It's a B&M floorless. It's probably in the top half for me of the 6 I've been on. With an interesting layout, beautiful theming, great intensity. And roller coaster is 100 years old or something. It runs perfectly smooth, great airtime, fantastic theming. Their kid coaster, the Caravan, is actually really intense and terrifying, and one of the best kid coasters I've been on. And their Mack powered coaster is really fun. I think if you are in Europe, anywhere in Europe, this place is worth a visit, especially for its roller coasters. Number 8 is the Bat at Canada's Wonderland. Many people call this the worst Vekoma boomerang, and they say half of Canada's Wonderland's coasters are terrible, and I wouldn't go that far. I hate Time Warp. Flight Deck is the worst roller coaster I've been on, and Dragonfire and Wild Beast aren't all that great. I really enjoy Mindbuster, though. Mindbuster didn't make this list because it's not, hated in a sense. This one, though, is probably the second best sit-down boomerang I have ever been on. My favorite being the Flying Cobras at Carowinds. That one mostly gets the edge for its name, and this one was perfectly smooth for me. Not very intense, but perfectly smooth. It's an enjoyable ride, and it's one of the better rides in the park. I think if you are ever at Canada's Wonderland, you should absolutely make time for this. Number 7, underrated, is Superman Ultimate Flight. I'm going to start by saying I love flying coasters, and that's where this kind of gets an edge on me. I just like flying coasters a lot. The use of trains is not particularly interesting like on Tatsu or Manta, but this ride actually has some good intense moments. The pretzel loop is fantastic, and it's one of the best coasters in both parks I've been to that has it. Great Adventure and Over Georgia. I really like this ride. I got a lot of good moments after the pretzel loop even, and I think it's a really good ride. You should ride it. It's really fun. Number 6 is Leviathan. When I went to this park, the only opinions I'd really seen were GP opinions on this, and they all loved it. It's a Giga, and I'm going to say I really, really enjoyed it. It's perfectly smooth, obviously. There isn't much theming, but that's alright. The first drop is really good, and the airtime is fantastic. There are a few good intense moments, not too many. However, many people prefer Behemoth to this, and while Behemoth's a very good ride, this is absolutely better. It deserves more respect. All of Canada's Wonderland's coasters deserve more respect. So, you should absolutely make the trip out here. Number 5 is Daredevil Dive at Six Flags Over Georgia. I had only been on one Eurofighter before this one, SpongeBob at Nick Universe. I didn't like that one. It was rough, the layout was small, nothing special. This one, though, This ride is so good. Second best in the park. I've not been on Twisted Cyclone, but whatever. This ride is perfectly smooth, really intense, great inversions, really fun theming, and I really loved it. Also, Great American Scream Machine sucks. Don't ride it. Number 4 is the 2 B&M Dive Coasters I have been on. SheiKra and Valravn. People don't like these. They think they're like bland, forceless, bad pacing, nothing special. I don't understand where they're coming from. They are perfectly smooth, the drops are fun, the inversions are great, and the use of the area and compactness make them really interesting rides. SheiKra has much better drops and a lot more interesting layout than Valravn. I really enjoy SheiKra because I never get a bad ride on it. And Valravn is actually really intense. Some fun inversions. The only problem is the overuse of braking systems. But I really enjoy the ride. Dislike button is down below. Thanks for watching. Yeah, number 3 is New Texas Giant. This ride is awesome. Easily a top 10 roller coaster. All the RMC hybrids are. And this is my 3rd favorite of the 4 I've been on, which I really hate to say. However, I've been on Steel Vengeance and Twisted Colossus, which are better than this, and Wicked Cyclone, which is not. This ride is widely considered the worst or second, third worst RMC roller coaster. The only ones people say are worse are like Joker and Goliath. However, this ride is awesome. Such an intense roller coaster with great airtime moments. I love overbank turns, which is why I love Millennium Force so much. The tunnels at the end are the best. The drop's fantastic. Perfectly smooth. And I am so lucky to have back row ride on this, because the line was 2 hours long, and my mom found a front of the line pass. So we got to get on it, and I really enjoyed the ride. It's easily the best roller coaster in the park. These top 2 are really hard to rank. They are both really underrated. And I'm not sure why I gave the edge to number 1. However, number 2, Gatekeeper at Cedar Point. Coaster Studios in 2017, before Steel Vengeance, said this was his 8th favorite roller coaster in the park. I don't understand that. It's still my 5th favorite with Steel Vengeance. It's in my top 25 coasters, and let me explain. The first drop is amazing. The inversions are really fun. I got some really good airtime on the one hill. And the inversions have a lot of hang time and force. The near miss elements are so fun. The ride is really photogenic. That doesn't really affect its ranking here, but it's a really intense ride. Perfectly smooth, I love that. The only problem with it is the brake run and helix at the end. They don't add anything to the ride. However, I love it. Alright, number 1 underrated. After riding this, I immediately knew it was going to be near the top of this list. I did not think it would be number 1, but I had to put it here. Simply because of how little respect it gets. No one talks about it, no one considers it one of the best of its kind. And it totally is. And it's the reason why King's Dominion has such an interesting lineup of roller coasters. It has the most overrated and the most underrated. Dominator is number 1. I love this ride. It is perfectly smooth, really intense, gorgeous inversions. The Cobra roll is fantastic. The vertical loop's amazing. Great hang time. Intense. There's no air time, but who cares? It's a B&M floorless coaster. It's just a really great ride. Easily my favorite B&M floorless. That's going against Kraken, Rougarou, Scream, and Batman the Dark Knight. This ride I love. If I could only re-ride one roller coaster at King's Dominion, besides Twisted Timbers, which I have not been on, it would be this one. I love this so much, and I hope you guys do too. That's all. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like it, comment any ideas you have for future videos, subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.